Welcome everybody to our presentation, The Future of Joomla, held by Sigrid Gramlinger, the Director of Production in Joomla. And Sigrid, thank you very much for presenting, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. So I have the honor today to talk about the future of Joomla. We're talking about Joomla, and I really like the slogan because open source matters. Because I think open source matters, and that's something really important to me and also to my work. And who am I? As Angelica already said, my name is Sigrid Gramlinger. I'm the current Joomla production department coordinator. I've put the link in there. Yes, you can see the current board of directors and the volunteers portal of Joomla. And I have a small web agency in Austria. That's also the link there. And personally, I was not there when Joomla was founded because my daughter is 2 weeks older than Joomla. But like a year later in 2006, I built my first Joomla website. So I'm almost there for 20 years. It's actually 19 because it was like a year later. And I'm an active member in the German-speaking Joomla community. I'm also in the organization team of the Joomla Day Dach, so the one from the German-speaking countries. And yeah, there's many things I do around Joomla. I'm also with the Joomla user group Vienna. But today we are talking about the future. So I don't have the glass bowl, so I can't really tell you everything, but I will tell you today about the releases, target groups, what might be features to Joomla 8 Sprint, and how to participate. So for now, I want to start with before I start really like with the future of Joomla, I want to give you more of like the current status. So Joomla is there for 20 years. So what about the releases? There's also a timeline on the current Joomla 20 years website with all the features, but I have shown like this timeline a couple of times. In the past, the versions were like version 1.0 was in 2005, 1.5 in 2008, then 3 years later was 106. So it was not like very regularly. And for example, like in 2012 with 2.517, we started on GitHub, for example. Then came 3.0, 3.1, and so on. And you see, it's like it's not very a linear timeline. So it's always scattered around, and there's like 3 years between Joomla 3.9 and Joomla 3.10, and Joomla 3.10 was the bridge version to Joomla 4. And then there was Joomla 4.1, where we started, and Benjamin is here today as well. We started with timed releases. And what means timed releases? That means that we have every 2 years we have a major release. So for 5.0, 6.0 that are major releases. Every 6 months we have a minor release, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. And every 6 weeks we have maintenance or bug fix releases. So 5.3.1, 5.3.2, and last week it was 5.3.3, or 2 days ago actually. And and we also have the releases. They're always on Tuesday because that gives people time during the week to update. And usually it's around the globe a time that most of the people are in the office, either in the morning or in the evening. And we always have 2 release managers because before we had always one, and we wanted to make it easier on the release managers. So, and since then the Joomla releases, we can just, it's very strict. So every year we have 2 minor releases and every 2 years a major release. So I can tell you exactly when Joomla 7 comes out and also when Joomla 8 comes out. And that helps a lot. So the release schedule is also an internal documentation of Joomla. You can look it up. You find exact dates when there will be an Alpha 1, When there, for example, will be a Pizza Bugs and Fun, actually that one is tomorrow, so be there. And also, like, for example, when there's the beta 3 with the language freeze, so that the translators then can finalize language strings for your language. And we have the final release and the release party. So you can find that. You can find that for Joomla 7 and 8. And this gives us a lot of stability, predictability. So for the ecosystem, we and for I mean for everybody, it really helps a lot because you know when the next version comes out. It gives sustainability. You can calculate when it will be there. It's also about quality because you know this bug will be fixed in latest 6 weeks if you know it's already solved. And the credibility is also that it reduces the risk of being left behind, so that we have this long gap again over years between like Joomla 3 and Joomla 4 because we lost many people there. It gives also some cons, so some disadvantages for the timed releases. Because if the feature's not in, you would have to wait like for 6 months, for example. People also get a bit tired about updating, but still, I mean, we are all volunteers. So I think in our volunteer surrounding, it helps a lot to have these timelines. And I think it also sometimes it's a pressure because something needs to be ready. But if it's not, I know there I have a next chance, and I know when I have the next chance for a new feature, for example. So these timed releases help a lot to plan. And but who are we planning for, or what are we planning? And that's who are the Joomla target groups. Um, there's been, I think, on the website you can find like lists of in our mission and everywhere. And if you ask people or if you collect, you will find like the following Joomla target groups. First one is, of course, builders, like small and medium-sized businesses with developers and small agencies, with multi-language websites, structured sites, non-profit organizations, if in education or non-government or governmental, who need low-cost open source software, or agencies, digital agencies. They're managing complex client projects, for example. Or we also have like developers, of course. They build custom extensions or apps, portals or intranets, but that's also for other target groups as well. We have communities, like user groups or associations within like national associations for certain, I don't know, professions, for example. We also have like hobbyists that have just single sites. We have providers. We have extension and template developers, of course. Like the providers, I mean the hosting providers, where you host your Joomla website. We have, of course, we have also a target group is the extension and template developers because I mean, they want to earn the money and they are an important part of the Joomla ecosystem. And we have trainers or educators. I mean, they need to use or can use Joomla to train others to build websites. Enterprise clients, there's some, I mean, if you compare it with other open source systems like Drupal or Typo 3, who are for like enterprise clients, multinational organizations, there's also enterprise clients that can use Joomla, maybe a bit smaller than the other audiences, but it's also an I think very feasible target group of Joomla. And of course, like regional governments, public institutions, and there's the part that Joomla just has applied to be a digital public good or digital public infrastructure. So that's important for them because of the sustainability and the long-term focus. So, but let me make one remark, because I think hobbyists in the future shouldn't be one of our core target groups. And why? Why hobbyists are not a strategic target anymore, in my opinion? First, the market has shifted. The do-it-yourself users, they prefer Wix, for example, or it's so much easier for them. Also because Joomla has a steeper learning curve than Wix and Co. I mean, it's possible, and I'm not saying we should not, we should like prevent hobbyists from use Joomla, but I think it should not be a strategic target group anymore. Also, they have a low contribution to the ecosystem because hobbyists usually they don't buy an extension. They use the free version, so they don't bring like money into the ecosystem. And they have most of them have weak community engagement, so they're not they just have need support from us, like high support costs, like time wise, and but we get a really low long-term value. And a big problem was they just installed the site and didn't really update it. They were abandoned and they never upgraded. So if we I mean, how could we still support those hobbyist users that are stuck? And I think we're already providing a lot to them, like community-based support with the Joomla forum and Facebook groups and Joomla user groups. So they're not really stuck, but I think we should not focus on them anymore to offer them even more. So we have clear migration guides and tools. We have it. We have rescue resources like landing pages in the documentation in the wiki. I think we can even more still encourage mentorship. So they go through a Joomla user group or volunteers there so that they're not stuck anymore. The question mark here is about maybe we could do another like a webinar, like an official one from Joomla, or we can provide them with resources on tutorials. I mean, we have something there. Maybe we can just offer it again. And one more important thing, I think we should recommend them professional support and guide them into the direction that if they're really stuck with an old Joomla 3 website, they at one point they might have to take some money and pay somebody to help them. And how can we prevent this in the future that the users get stuck again? And that's mainly not for hobbyists, but also for like other users that just have one website, for example. One part, and that's already there, is guided tours to have like onboard them with new features. So that helps already. We will have automated updates, so then they are not stuck anymore, and the website gets updated automatically, and we reduce like the stagnation on old versions, so we don't have that problem anymore that they are all on Joomla 3 or older. Compatibility plugins. We have the Compat plugin in Joomla 5, and we will have it, of course, in Joomla 6. So that helps us to prevent people from updating and makes the upgrades, of course, smoother. Lifecycle communication. We have the end of life messages in Joomla, and yeah, so that's also there. And at one point that we could have a bit more information on is like hosting partnerships. So with hosting companies, to provide them more information, or that hosting companies inform people so that they're not stuck, what they could do and not. But I think it should not be a real target group anymore. So this would be the target group I've collected from different sources, and I've removed the hobbyists here. So, but if we have a closer look, they're very different laid out, these target groups, and I think they have different focus areas. So before I get closer to them, I wanted to structure them a bit into some kind of layers of the Joomla ecosystem. So in my opinion, we have the first part is the core community. It's like the foundation of Joomla. And here we have the core maintainers and developers. So they write, review, maintain the CMS code. We have, for example, translators. I mean, that's why we have the multi-language websites and why Joomla itself is multilingual. We have accessibility, security, architecture. We have different teams, and they ensure that the websites are compliant, for example, with accessibility, security, and other modern standards. Of course, we have like marketing and also documentation volunteers, because like they spread the knowledge and they attract new users, they onboard users, and so on. And of course, within this core community is OSM, so open source matters. And there's the board and with the different departments. So we have some kind of organizational structure. And without these people, the core community, without them, we would not have Joomla. So there's no Joomla. So this is the heart of the ecosystem. But these are not our customers, but these are the people who make Joomla exist. I'll place them in the center here. So that's the heart, the core. What comes next is the ecosystem enablers or the multipliers. So, for example, here we have extension and template developers. They provide us with templates, plugins, of course, extensions, and even more, and therefore enhance Joomla. And the Joomla can be used for even more use cases. Also, multipliers are hosting providers because they can make it easy to install Joomla, to secure it, and to update it. Another part of the ecosystem are the trainers and educators at universities, for example, at colleges, online teachers, whatever. So because they can train people to use Joomla, and in the future we'll have more people. Also, ecosystem enablers or multipliers are local communities or general communities, Joomla user groups, and peers, whatever, who use Joomla or who show other people how to use Joomla. And they multiply Joomla's reach. They are making it usable for more people. So these multipliers, they are not part of the Joomla code base itself, but they provide the infrastructure, the reach, and also adoption paths for people. So we will place them around the core community, the multipliers. And as you can see already, we have a third layer, that's the market adopters or the external users. So here, that's more like the classical target groups that we want to provide with. So that's agencies, of course, because they build many websites for clients. So they're adoption drivers because they multiple the Joomla installations. We have small business websites and builders. They have multilingual websites. They build shops and so on. Of course, we have nonprofits and also the public sector because they need like open source systems. They need accessible websites and transparency for their institutions. Also, we have here the enterprises. There's the niche because I don't think um, we have the same target group as enterprise systems, but we have like enterprise uses as an intranet, a portal, or also structured content sites. Another group is the upgraders. So that's website owners with like that are kind of stuck with Joomla because they have like big applications, for example, in Joomla 3 that are not upgraded, are also in Joomla 4 and 5. So if they're still in Joomla 3, they could, or they're still external users, the upgraders. And they are the reason why Joomla stays relevant. I mean, on the long term, the upgraders for Joomla 3 shouldn't be a target group because they should upgrade. But in the future, I mean, upgrades are necessary. So, and these are the groups Joomla ultimately serves. So these groups we had here, and they would be around the external users. How connect all of this? So we have the heart, the core community with the volunteers. They build, they maintain, they thrive Joomla. We have the ecosystem enablers, the multipliers. They distribute, they extend, and they support Joomla. And we have the market adopters, the external users. They use Joomla in real-world projects, and they give us visibility. So I think if I think of people I know in the community, um, some like for me for example, I'm also in the core community, but I'm also a market adopter, and sometimes I'm also in the role of an ecosystem enabler. So I think within the community itself we have people with different roles, um, but it makes sense to focus on different times and different work in different areas. So the future of Joomla depends on strengthening all three layers. So supporting the volunteers at the core, because if the volunteers vanish, the system dies. I mean, we don't have, if there's no people to maintain, to code, to document, to translate, then we don't have a system. Then we have to empower the enablers in the middle, because if the enablers vanish, the adoption slows down. So if we don't have people to multiply it, if no hosting providers um, offer the IT, I mean the infrastructure for Joomla, then people cannot install it. So that's also important. And the third part, of course, the attracting the right adopters and the outer ring. So if the adopters vanish, I mean, there's no reason for the volunteers to contribute. So we have to, we have to look at all three levels. And so far, for the supporting the Joomla's core community. So that's the heart of Joomla, the community. Their priorities. I mean, there's more text now on this slide, so I'm not going into all the details, but you can read it up later. The priorities of the people in the community, like me, for example. I want to have a sustainable software. So we want to keep the project healthy long term. For me also, it's the contribution culture is important. So how can I if we need to welcome people to support here, also recognition, I mean, to value the work, governance, to know how to work within Joomla, how the system works, how the organization, how the teams. And I think the priority of Joomla's core people or maintainers or people in different teams is also sometimes they don't want the new shiny features. They want to make it work. They want so that's also the part here. But what's the challenges? In the community, the challenges is also burnout and dropout. People leave teams, people leave, they abandon sub-project working groups. So that's one of the challenges. Also that we don't have enough time, skills, or the money, and also the coordination within the teams. But I don't want to focus too much on the problems, but how can we help this? So one part is to improve the contributor experience. So this means um, GitHub, to show people how to use GitHub. We have done many things here. I think that's why I say that I think there's the orange check mark now. I think we have done a lot. There's still things to improve, but the onboarding here is important. To say hi and welcome to people if they want to join. Um, the next part, how we can help the people within the community, is transparency and governance. So it's the structure and the system of OSM of the project. I think we're doing well here, but I think we also need to work on it more to make it even clearer how decisions are taken and to be open here. For the community, I think it's also like to boost recognition and visibility. And here's an example. We just in the last release notes, we have this new part where we also show when people test on GitHub. So when there's a new when there's a pull request, every pull request needs 2 successful tests, and now we show that. So that's some kind of recognition to give people back to make it visible. And we have other things going on here, but I think we also need to work on that. Like we have these badges. You can show that, for example, they were speaker at Joomla Day or that they took part in Pizza Bucks and Fun. And I think we even have to make that more visible. Also, if people contribute in teams, in meetings, I think we can work on that and we should still improve that. So we have some parts there, but I think we need to provide more. And we have for the people in the community, the maintainers, for example, we have to ensure a stable infrastructure. So here, I think I made a green sign here, a green question, a green check mark, because I think there's, I mean, we have GitHub. If there's new tools, we try to provide them with the new tools. We have servers with the thing. So I think we are good there, and still try to improve. But I think we have a good infrastructure here. So that would be for the community. There's things we can still improve, but I think we're in a good way here. For the multipliers, so that's the extension developers, templates developers, hosting providers, trainers, and the communities, for example. What are their priorities? What do they want? They are open to new tech. So they want new technologies like hosting providers. They want to, they have to keep up with their server infrastructure, for example. So they want to be innovative. They want to be on track, because otherwise they will lose their clients. They also want easy integration. So it should be smooth and easy for the users. And they need or they want reliable solutions. So they are depending on Joomla, and they want a solution they can trust on the long term, so that also their clients can rely on it. And what's the challenges for them? So for these hosting providers, extension developers, they need to keep up with the Joomla changes, of course. Of course, I mean, we have this fixed release time, timed releases. So now everybody can plan, and we know that Joomla 6 will be there in October. So they can now test already. And I think that really helps a lot. But it's keeping up with the Joomla changes is a challenge for them. Also for hosting providers, and we also have to talk to them. I mean, to have the exchange that if database versions change or PHP versions or whatever. But their challenge also is like a sustainable business model. That means they also have to survive. So they have to earn money. They have to plan in the future. So they can also stay in business. And they need to close innovation gaps. So there's all this AI bubble and stuff, and they need to integrate this because they need to serve it to their clients, like providers and so on. And yeah, so that's their challenges. They need also, these challenges also need to be considered. So how can we address their challenges? I mean, with Joomla. One part is to predict the releases. And there we have the green check mark. I told you that's plannable. They know when the next release comes out. We have compatibility plugin and so on. Early access and developer communication. I think we're doing pretty good here because we have early beta access. They can plan around it. There's a MetaMost, there's an extension developer channel, for example. I think we could do better with hosting providers, but that's also, I think we're in a good way there. Then the next part is to grow the marketplace. And here I have to put a red question mark, red exclamation mark, because here we really need to improve, because the extension directory is not showing what we could do, and we're working on it. So here we would really need people to support, to bring, there's lots of preparation for it, but it's not finished yet. So this is something we really need to work and focus on. And partnerships and training. So to partner with hosts, providers, and also training companies, for example, or universities and colleges, I also think we really have to do something here to provide them with material and to do something. So I think there's lots we can do, and we should focus on in the next few months. So that was the middle ring, the multipliers. And now I want to focus on to attract the right adopters, the external users. So like agencies and government and nonprofits and this group. So what are their priorities? Of course, it's security and compliance, like privacy laws, accessibility, and stuff like this. So then another priority is, of course, stability and predictability on the long term. Um, of, they also need to have like a business model that's working. Multi-language and structured content. They need the flexibility on the long term, also for global, but also for local needs. Another of their priorities is cost efficiency. So they have we have open source, of course. There's no license to pay for it, but they also need to set up their own automations, their own processes, workflows, so that they can plan and they can also work for their clients in an efficient way. And I listed here the last priority. It's like integration and extensibility. So they want to a system, a Joomla, to connect with other systems, to extend it, to have it as a flexible tool. And what are their challenges they face? Of course, hard if Joomla is hard to update. So that's with the old versions. That's the migration from older versions, of course, that is a challenge they face. Also market competition. If you have or in my agency, we often have to tell people like, why should they use Joomla? I mean, if they want to use another system, they have to go somewhere else. But software as a service like Wix or Shopify, um, that's competition as well, WordPress, and that's a challenge for them. So we should really support them there. And they have a need of modern features like API, headless AI tools. That's all the topics that come to them, and they need to support their clients as well, of course. Another thing is that Joomla often is perceived as old. Just a few weeks ago, I was in a group of people that working with other systems. They're like, oh, I thought Joomla is dead. And that's what we often hear. And we really, and this is really for these external users, really sometimes a problem that's there. People don't really consider Joomla is there and is an alternative to other systems. And sometimes for bigger organization, they have limited in-house expertise. If they have like intranet solutions, then at one point they might need external I know support, consulting, whatever. So that's also a challenge that when people approach them, that's to support these in-house people. And how can we address these challenges of this external user? Of course, easier updates. And I think we are doing quite well there because we have these compatibility plugins. We have tools. I mean, there's tools out there, especially for these users. They're working professionally with user. They know how to do it. And for them, it's also good to plan ahead and to test in advance. And I think we're doing quite good here. Another way how we can address the challenges is to reinforce trust, and we really need a strong marketing positioning here to tell people, hey, we're there, and hey, this is Joomla, and this is our strength, and we are working on that. We have to stay competitive, or I mean, to focus Joomla as a competitive software as a service. With new features like AI-assisted content, and I'll come to that later, or built-in checks. Or so to have features that other systems have as well, not just because they have them, but it makes sense. So I think we're doing okay here, but there could be more. We're working on some features, but we could have more here. And the last part is for the challenge for these agencies, for example, to expand the integrations and the connections. That's about APIs. So to make it easier for them to connect with different systems. Mark had yesterday the presentation about the automation and workflows and stuff like that. So in Joomla, there's a lot there, but I think we need to also provide more of these layers and also have a good documentation and examples and stuff like this to help people use them. Um, but as I said, really important is to reinforce the trust. We are there, we are strong, and Joomla is a modern system. So how can we map these ideas? I mentioned many different areas, and if they come to actual features, what could they be? And one part is, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm in a bubble, and I hear all this AI agent stuff and how easily they could all do your things. And I think we're not there yet. And I think it's a bubble. And to bring it to the point where people can use it, or it's so integrated that you really that it really makes sense to have AI in a system. We are going slowly there, but of course, one of these to address these challenges to help these target groups is to have AI tools in Joomla. And I'm not saying now that we have to code all of this within Joomla because we have extensions, but we also have projects to provide the basis to make this happen in Joomla. There's a Google of Summer of Code project at the moment for AI connection. So extension developer could use it then, or others, because people in the future will, of course, expect that you can write with AI in Joomla, that you can translate, that you can summarize your text, or you create alt images, or even create images within Joomla. So people are expecting this because they know in other systems it's happening. So I'm sure it will be there in Joomla. We're working on it. We need, of course, support and also use cases. I mean, how would you do that? Where would you need it? There's already extensions that are showing us what you could do, um, and yeah. But think about use cases. Tell us, and because also the next point is not better APIs and not more, but APIs are important, and it's for professional use. I mean, for organizations who want to connect data, it doesn't have to be a big organization, but if data's there, if you have like an online shop and you want to connect it with your users in Joomla. So we have to make sure that we have different APIs in the focus, and so that other websites, apps can hook into Joomla. And I think when you're a developer and when you know what to do, you can find your way. But I think other people don't really know it exists. It's there. So I think we have to really do the marketing about here and what's possible with this with the APIs. I think what the challenge is, what people could use, it's something like a compliance center. But um, I got asked about that. I mean, how users could see if there's like the cookie, the privacy confirmation. And we have a privacy dashboard, but I think people don't really know how to use it. Some people don't really need it, but it's there. Also, the accessibility the tools we have. Um, I think that needs to be more visible, and so that also other tools could connect and to have something like this. There is the idea to have like a health check in Joomla. There's also the Joomla enhancement team is working on it already. There's like Hannes had lots of I think he started this actually, and there's ideas on how to do that, but we need now to work on that. And that for some people would be a compliance boost. And together this goes with a like a performance pack. That's like a marketing term. If you see it closer, it would be about the media manager. So that images, for example, people expect images to resize automatically. They don't want to care if it's in portrait or in landscape, if the image size is big enough. So they really want to work with media there. So I think that's really important. And also to support all modern image formats to have this there. Also because like the performance, because if you want to be visible with a website on the internet, of course you have SEO, so search engine optimization, but with AI you get the GEO, so the generative optimization, so that you're also visible in the AI searches, in the AI results. And therefore, we also be prepared that if there's new things we have to consider, that we can provide the people there or give them the information, because I think we already have everything. And of course, security and transparency. These ideas, I mean, that's the challenges that people have, but we are there with security. I think one important part is about the supply chain. People will have to document that the website is secure. Cybersecurity or security threats are getting more, and people are scared, like the smaller businesses, because they don't have this big IT department that can help them. So for the websites, I think it's also important, if we have something like this health check, like to have a place where we show them in one place about security and transparency, and also to have like APIs, so to have connection to other system, to have like a dashboard where to see if is there anything I have to take care of, I have to consider. And so if you have any ideas, what should be there? If we always, not we always, but often we discuss, like we have PRs on GitHub, we have discussions, should this be in core? There's questions you need to ask. I collected a few because it gives you an idea about the decisions we have to take for the future. I mean, one thing, if there's a new feature and if you want to bring it into Joomla, then a question is there enough volunteer capacity or PHP or infrastructure to maintain this feature on a long term? So if you can answer the question, do you think um, then it it's good, because if not, then think how you can support this. So do we need more people? Or if it's too complex, we might not want to have it in core, but we will have extension for it. Also, an important question for the future is, will it break existing sites or templates or workflows? And is there a safe migration path? I mean, we have the compatibility plugins and everything, but if there's a new feature, we have to consider that. Will it break existing sites and what we can do for it? So these questions aim a bit on this, like, I want this new feature, this should be in Joomla, but we have to consider many things. And one is, will it break existing sites? Another question is, does a reliable extension already provide this functionality? If there's an extension that's well maintained, that's there, that's for a specific use case, we are not going to put it into core, because we have an ecosystem. We have extension developers, and that's fine. That's how the system works. You can extend it. And if there's an extension, we are most likely not putting the same functionality into core. Another question, should it be part of core or remain an optional extension? I just said that if there's an extension, or like with web links, we were trying to declutter the Joomla core. So that's always the question, will we do that with other extensions as well? Or will we offer new extensions that will be just like from Joomla, but an extension and not in core? Also, the question, is the feature useful for a wide audience, or it's just a niche? Is it maybe just like 10 websites that might need that? If it's only for a really small niche, it's not going to be in core. But if you have different user groups, different target groups, and it might be usable in different target group, then it can be there. Also, will this feature still matter in 3 to 5 years, or is it just a short-term thing? Is it just because of one regulation that's important in one country? Then we're not going to put it into core. And also, can the community realistically support bug fixes, documentation, translation, upgrades for this feature? If it's too big, for example, we're not going to put it there. So if you want to have a new feature in core, or you have an idea for the long term, you should go through these questions and see if you can answer them, even with either with yes or with no. But if you have an answer, then it's more likely to be there. So if you have a feature and you can answer the question so that you think, okay, I think it could be in core, or I have an idea, then we are having a Joomla production sprint about Joomla 8. Get involved. There's in the last magazine, I put the link there. There's a short text and there's a form. You can fill it out and you can submit your ideas, what you think should be there for the future of Joomla, because the future depends on all the three layers, as I said before. We need the volunteers, we need the enablers, and we need the adopters. And they all have different features they want. And we now need to focus on that. So that was my part, my presentation. I cannot give you the exact features for the Joomla for the future, but I think there's a lot of ideas and we really focus them. So go there, submit your idea, join us in MetaMost in the community, write about your ideas, what you think should be there. And then hopefully we can together make it happen. So thanks for your attention and hope to see you around.
Thank you very much, Sigrid, for that presentation, which was very rich and had a lot of information.
Yes, I
They're
know.
still working on digesting it,
Yes, I can imagine.
but it was very good that we can share this information and have an idea of what is the strategy for Joomla as a whole from the side of the production people.